Hello everyone. Today we're going to continue on with our training and talk about the media bar. The media bar is the library where you keep all of the images and videos you've uploaded. Let's take a look at it real quick. Now the media library, as you can see, has all of the images that I've used. Now let's take a look at a particular picture. Let's look at this brush. And you can see that it gives you some detail. The original name that it was uploaded as, the file type, and the date it was uploaded, and its dimensions. Now you can change the title if we wanted to. We can call this shaving brush. This whole section is more for you to categorize your images and make sure that you know what they are. So it's not always necessary to put information in here, but if you end up having a lot of images, it helps a little bit. And it will also help if you're going to give the site to someone else to work on. This gives them an idea of what these images are about. Now, once you have an image in the system, you can edit it. You don't always have to take an image and fix it outside of WordPress and then bring it back in a second time. Let me show you. If you click on Edit Image, so if you look at the top, it says Scale Image. This image is 1200 pixels wide. I had made it that way, but its original size was only 1024. I used the Scale Image to increase the size, and if I had wanted to bring it back to its original 1024 pixels size, I would click here. Now, for those of you that don't know what pixels are, I suggest just Googling it, but the basics are that a screen is a certain amount of pixels wide by a certain amount of pixels down. When you hear the term 1080p as a HD TV set or a 720p, those are the pixels from top to bottom. 1080p TV has a pixel ratio of about 1900 to 1080. For the sites that we use, some of the sliders tend to be larger. I like to use a pixel size of 1200, but that's not always the case. Depending upon your template, that may be a little different. So I err on the side of caution, and I try to make all my slider images about 1200 pixels wide, and I tend to make my thumbnails around 200 pixels wide. If you were ever to find yourself looking at an image that didn't fit within the box it was supposed to fit in, you can come in here and then rescale that image up to the size that you want. Another important feature is the crop feature. Sometimes you might have the image as 1200 across in a slider, but it will be shifted high or low because it's a tall image as well. So maybe a head is cut off, and what you can do then is go over here and crop by hitting the crop button. And let's say we wanted to crop it so that it was a little bit shorter. You can do that and then hit the crop button again. And you can see that the image is now cropped, and it'll save that way. Also, let's say you wanted to rotate it counterclockwise. This is where you would do that, and rotate clockwise. This is to flip vertically and flip horizontal. So all of those things can be done within this area. And then you just hit save. And it's saved. So let me take you into a post itself so I can pull this picture in and we can see how that works within a post. So let's look at a post. Let's look at the post itself. The featured image is here on the left. It sits in a little box. I was talking about how you might want to edit an image. If you look at this image, the original image is wide, and you can see that the word Artstrong is cut off. If I were doing this site, and this was a regular live site, I would go in and crop that image so that Artstrong shows. Now, if you were to enter an image, let's say over here where it says in honor of the anniversary celebration, you can do that. But one of the problems you would have is that it would be fighting with the featured image. They would be too close to each other, and it would look a little bit funny. Because this area is just text, just remember that there is an image, even though it's not showing here, that there is an image that this might fight against. So if we were going to put an image in, I like to put it further down in the post. Let's say we decide to put an image over here next to Kaneko. So you highlight or put your cursor at that point, and then go over to where it says upload or insert. And this is the same kind of add media that you use when you're looking at the featured image that we learned in a past lesson. Now again, you can drop files here or select files from your drive if you want to make it a file that's not in the system yet. And if you did that, it would become part of the media library. And you can do that from a URL as well by putting in the URL from the web. But let's look at the media library. Let's go back and use the shaving image that we had already used. Okay, now the original size was 1200 by 690. That's going to be very large. That's going to take up most of the screen. So let's try a different size. Let's use the medium size, which is 300 by 172. And let's insert this into the post. One of the things that you see right away is that the image is here, wrapping around and very tight. If you click on the image, you get a delete and you get an edit image. So let's edit the image, come back over here. This edit image area looks a little bit different than the one I just showed you. This is the one that pops up once an image is inserted into the post. Right now we have an image that's left aligned, and you can see that from this example here that the words are wrapping around, and we saw that when we were looking at the post. If you click none, then you would get something totally different. The image would just be floating. If you click on center, it's a centered image and the words don't wrap. And if you click on the right, words will wrap around the left and the image will stay on the right. So we want this image to be on the left. But now let's look at the advanced settings. Now the majority of this area is for advanced users, and we're not going to go into any of the details of this today, and you probably will not have to look at most of this, but one of the important pieces is the image property. This is where you can give a little bit of extra room around the picture so that it doesn't look like the letters from the sentences are touching the picture. First, there's the border. Let's say we make it 5. And now you can see there's a 5 border. That's a little horsey. Let's go back and make it 2. And you can see there's now a little black border. But we also need some extra space. So let's use 5 for the vertical space. You can see that this area now on the vertical just gave some space, and now on the horizontal. And we can see there's a little space on the horizontal. And then update that. And now you can see that there is a little bit of space on the top and around, and we have this black border. Now we can preview the change before we actually post it. And that actually looks pretty good. So all we have to do now is go back to the post, click update. Sometimes you might want to have 1, 2, 3, or 4 images. So be careful to make sure that the images have borders and that they're justified properly. If you were going to take the first image and justify it left like this, the second image, if it was justified left, would actually go underneath it because it would be on the left. So if you wanted that image to stay next to it, then you would give it a different alignment. Perhaps you move it to the right, or perhaps you say none. Depending upon the pictures, depending upon where you've put it, the wrapping can all change. So there's a little bit of manipulation that you might have to do, but that's why we use the preview changes button, so that you can play around and put other images in and preview the changes before you actually hit update and make it live. So that's it for now. Thank you for coming, and we'll be doing a lot more of these in the future.